Welcome, fight fans. MMA Station is here to bring you another epic combat story. It's time to roll into the female MMA world and see some of the best lady fighters the MMA scene has ever seen. These ladies are not just great to look at.
Cheyenne, the warrior princess of Lisbon.
These fighters are all about tough skills and hard work. They defy the conventional notions of what women are capable of in sports. They win big fights, break records, and inspire lots of people. So whether you've been watching UFC for years or just started, these are 6 women fighters you've got to know. You're going to be wowed by how strong and talented they are. Now, before we jump in, you might have heard what Sean Strickland said on the topic. In his unique style, he went a bit over the edge, calling female MMA trash and said they should only stick to OnlyFans after seeing Paige Vanzant's post that she made more money from 24 hours on OnlyFans than she did in her whole entire MMA career. This led to Valentina Shevchenko replying and the two exchanging some aggressive tweets.
Paige, you were already in the UFC at that time, right? Or you
Yeah,
weren't?
but I think I was in the UFC. I was like 4 years in or 5 years in already.
Yeah, gotcha.
At the end of the day, actions speak louder than words, and these ladies, their actions in the Octagon are seriously loud. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. First up, we have the woman who inspired Sean Strickland's controversial comment on female MMA. Paige, born in Dundee, Oregon, had a childhood that's pretty different from the average. Her parents ran a dance studio, so she was all about ballet, jazz, and hip-hop for over a decade. But life wasn't just dance moves for Paige. She dealt with some tough times in high school, getting bullied for her surname, Sletton, which students changed to Slutton. This led her to change her last name to Vanzant. She chose Vanzant because it was one of her mother's students' last names, and she liked the way it sounded. Outside of dancing, she was your typical outdoorsy type, loving to ride dirt bikes and fish. When we talk about her career in throwing punches and kicks, it started in Sparks, Nevada. She stumbled upon Ken Shamrock's gym and got hooked on martial arts. Her pro MMA debut was a win against Jordan Nicole Gaza in 2012. But not every fight was a walk in the park. She lost to Tecia Torres at Invicta FC4 in 2013.
I think she has a more traditional Muay Thai, that slower pace, hands up, 1-2. I'm in and out like a boxer.
Then in December 2014, Vanzant was announced as one of 11 women signed by the UFC for the newly created strawweight division. She scored a memorable win over Ailin Perez and even snagged a deal with Reebok. She squared off against some tough opponents like Felice Herrig and Michelle Waterson, showing off her grappling chops and stand-up game. Later, she bumped up to the flyweight division, taking on new challenges and fighters like Jessica Rose Clark. Paige didn't stop there. She jumped into bare-knuckle boxing in 2020, signing a juicy deal and throwing down in some intense bouts. It's clear she's not one to shy away from a challenge. On top of all this fighting, Paige has shown she's got flair outside of the ring. She's been in the pro wrestling ring with All Elite Wrestling, adding some serious spice to their shows. After 6 years in the MMA industry, the now 29-year-old fighter started an OnlyFans page. This proved to be a good financial decision, as she states that in 24 hours on OnlyFans, she had probably made more money than she did in her entire UFC career. Maybe Sean Strickland has a point with his claim that people will pay more to see her naked than watch her fight. The world is big enough, and you can find an audience for almost everything. Next up on our list, we have a fighter who recently went viral due to her twerking skills. Ailin Perez became popular for brawling with Jocelyn Edwards and celebrating the win by twerking in the cage after a win at UFC Vegas 82. She confirmed that the same day after her performance, she earned a little over $30,000 from her OnlyFans. Shockingly, that's many times more than what she earned for the fight. Interestingly enough, this is not the first time in her career where she turned the ring into a dance floor in such a provocative way. Perez, with her roots in Mexico City and a lifelong passion for combat sports, has always brought a unique angle to the world of MMA. Starting her martial arts journey at the young age of 10 with training in judo and taekwondo, Perez later transitioned to MMA as a teenager, quickly making a name for herself with her tenacity and skill. After turning pro post-high school, her journey in the fighting world took off. Despite a setback in her pro debut at Invicta SC17, Perez's fighting spirit never wavered. she clawed her way back, earning a spot in the UFC after an impressive 4-fight winning streak and other promotions. Her participation in the Ultimate Fighter 28 Heavy Hitters Tournament was a turning point, leading to her crowning as the first ever female featherweight champion in the tough cage after defeating Germaine de Randamie at UFC 245. Perez's time in the UFC has been marked by memorable fights against top contenders like Ailin Perez and Janelle Lee. Her performances have earned her the nickname Mexican Wonder Woman. Her ability to mix combat prowess with post-fight celebrations has made her stand out in the MMA world. So while Ailin Perez's post-fight twerking at UFC Vegas 82 and her impressive OnlyFans earnings made headlines, it's just a part of her multifaceted persona. Her journey from the streets of Mexico City to the bright lights of the UFC is a testament to her unyielding spirit and dedication to the sport of MMA. Next on our list is the current number 10 on the UFC Women's Flyweight Rankings, Tracey Cortez. Born on December 10, 1993 in Phoenix, Arizona, she is not only known for her formidable presence in the women's flyweight division of the UFC, but also for her stunning looks. Cortez was raised in a household of Mexican immigrants. She started her MMA journey at 14, inspired by her older brother Jose Cortez's fight against Drew Fickett in 2008, a match he won via split decision. Tragically, Jose's career ended prematurely due to health issues, and he passed away from cancer in 2011. His death deeply impacted Tracey, pushing her to honor his memory through her own fighting career. Supported by her family and her brother's friends, Tracey's channeled her grief into motivation, using her brother's battle as a source of strength. Cortez's amateur career was a successful run, starting in World Fighting Federation and KOTC, where she achieved a 3-0 record before stepping into Invicta Fighting Championships. Although she faced a setback in her debut against Sherry Mureski, Cortez bounced back with a series of wins. Her victory over Erin Blanchfield at Invicta FC 34 and her performance in Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, where she defeated Maria Akapova, eventually led to her signing with the UFC.
No matter what life throws at me, baby, you can't break me. You can't break me.
Cortez's UFC journey began with a victory over Vanessa Melo in 2019. She continued to showcase her skills with wins over Stephanie Egger, Justine Kish, and Melissa Gatto. Despite a challenge with weight management in the Kish fight and being pulled from the bout against Amanda Ribas due to medical issues, Cortez made a strong comeback in September 2023, defeating Jasmine Jazz Deficius at UFC Fight Night 227. Alright, let's break down the Cortez vs. Jazz Deficius fight in a more laid-back way. From the get-go, Tracey Cortez came out swinging, throwing some sharp punches and solid low kicks, really giving Jasmine a run for her money. Jazz Deficius tried to hang in there, but you could tell Cortez's hits were landing and were doing some damage. Jasmine wasn't just going to take it lying down though. She shot for a takedown, trying to switch things up, but Cortez wasn't having any of it. She showed some slick defense and kept the fight on her terms. In round 2, Jasmine started to come back a little bit, even scoring a takedown. She got in some good shots on the ground, but Cortez bounced back quickly, not letting her get too comfy. The final round was tight, with both fighters giving it their all. Jasmine tried again for the takedown, but Cortez was on point with her defense. They traded blows, with Cortez landing some heavy shots. The fight wrapped up with both fighters going toe-to-toe until the very end. When the dust settled, Cortez took the win by unanimous decision. It was a tough fight, but she showed she's got the skills both in striking and grappling. Coming in next, we have the beautiful Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern, born in Phoenix, Arizona, is kind of like a superstar in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She started training from a young age with both her dad, who is a renowned black belt. She's got an amazing track record in BJJ, winning golds left and right at big-time competitions like the ADCC World Championship and the IBJJF Worlds, winning a world title on every single belt. She's so good, she even took down the giant women's BJJ champion, Gabby Garcia, who was probably 2 times heavier than her. When she jumped into the UFC scene, she brought that same fire. She started by whooping Ashley Yoder in her first UFC fight and kept rolling from there. Dern's known for her grappling skills thanks to her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background. She submitted nearly everyone in the ring, using her grappling skills to secure wins. One of her biggest fights was against Amanda Cooper, where she missed weight, but still managed to snag a win with a rear naked choke. Then there was her match with Nina Nunes, where she nailed an armbar and bagged a Performance of the Night award.
I really wanted like a knockout, but I'm happy with the submission. That's my goal, always to submit, so I'm happy.
As of late 2023, Dern's still rocking it in the UFC. Ranked up there in the women's strawweight division, her fights are a mix of strikes and those killer submission moves. Mackenzie Dern's pretty much a cute-looking, always smiling killer, performing impressively in both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. Moving forward, our next pick is one of the toughest and most attractive women to step in the Octagon. Despite her looks, Miesha Tate is a UFC and Strikeforce bantamweight champion and a female MMA legend. Her combat sports experience extends all the way back to high school, where she used to wrestle and even won a state championship in 2005. She decided to transition from grappling to MMA in 2007. At first, she was hesitant to compete in MMA, admitting that she was afraid to get punched in the face. After some encouragement from her friends, she dove headfirst into the world of mixed martial arts, turning her grappling skills into a full-on MMA arsenal. Tate started in the amateur MMA scene, where she quickly learned that this wasn't just about wrestling anymore. She faced some tough fighters and learned to adapt her style, mixing in strikes with her solid ground game. By 2009, Tate was making waves, grabbing the 135-pound freestyle cage fighting women's bantamweight championship. She didn't stop there. In Strikeforce, she showed what she was made of, plowing through opponents and snagging the Strikeforce Women's Bantamweight Tournament Champion title from Marloes Coenen.
Quit, give up after my last fight. The word retirement, and I had to show myself.
After her Strikeforce matches, Tate officially joined the Ultimate Fighting Championship in February 2013. After some back-and-forth bouts and a high-profile rivalry with Ronda Rousey, Tate clinched the UFC Bantamweight Championship in a stunning victory against Holly Holm. This wasn't just about the belt, it was a statement that she was one of the best in the game. Sure, there were ups and downs, but Tate never backed down. She even took a brief hiatus, only to come back swinging, proving that her fighting spirit hasn't dimmed one bit. And finally, wrapping up our list, we have the woman who held the record for the most UFC title defenses by a female until being surpassed by Valentina Shevchenko in 2022. Ronda Rousey, born in California, comes from a tough background. Her mom was a judo champ, so fighting was in her blood. She had speech troubles as a kid, but that didn't stop her. She got into judo, and by 17, she was at the Olympics in Athens. Rousey moved up in the judo world, grabbing a bronze in the 2008 Beijing Olympics. She was the first American woman who succeeded in getting a medal from the Judo Olympics, which, by the way, is considered one of the toughest and most competitive Olympic disciplines. After that, she thought, what's next? And found her answer in mixed martial arts. She started in small-time MMA, but her talent was too big to stay there long. Entered the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the major league of MMA. In 2012, she became the first woman signed by the UFC. She was like a wrecking ball in the women's bantamweight division, snatching the title in her first UFC fight. Rousey wasn't just winning, she was dominating. Her signature move was the armbar. Fighters knew it was coming, but stopping it was another story. She racked up wins, defending her title 6 times. She was the face of women's MMA, putting it on the map and showing that female fighters are badass and are capable of bringing the show in. In 2015, Holly Holm handed Rousey her first loss, a kick heard around the world. Rousey tried to bounce back against Amanda Nunes in 2016, but took another tough loss. This was pretty much it for a UFC career. Rousey's UFC run was a roller coaster. She broke barriers, set records, was a straight-up superstar, made a lot of money, and paved the way for everybody else afterward. And that wraps up another epic fight story with MMA Station. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of the action. Thank you for joining us on this incredible ride. Until next time, stay hungry, stay passionate, and keep supporting the world of combat sports.